Let's we see what is a quick sort and what is the logic of the quick sort and how to implement the program in the quick sort. Let's we see what is the logic of the quick sort. What is quick sort means? In this quick sort, this sorting algorithm uses the idea of divide and conquer method. That means dividing the part which is by finding the pivot of element. Pivot means we take any number in the list is pivot, and that pivot we're going to split and left side is an smaller values and right side is to be the greater values. That is the uses of idea of divide and conquer method. It finds the element called the pivot, which divides its array into the two halves in such a way that elements in the left half are the smaller, then pivot after that the element in the right side is the greater. So that is a similar thing only. If we needed the elements after the listed is going to be the smaller values and greater values, it's need not to be the sorted list, it is unsorted list only. If we need that, we going to sort by the quick sort also, and most of the case we uses the quick sort and into find the pivot, and the left values is the smallest and the right value is the greatest only. So it is sorting is not necessary. So from this picture, it is having the list of elements. In the list of elements, I selected the 70 as a pivot element. Lesser than the 70 elements are going to be the left side, and the greater than the 70 will be going to the right side. So left side elements are already sorted, but the right side elements are not sorted. If I needed means I sorted the list. It not necessary means I relieve that. And going to be the I is the index of the smallest elements and j is to be the loop variables. Pass is nothing but the iterations, we already seen that. It does have the conditions of array of j is less than is equal to pivot. J means it incrementing the values one by one, it comparing to the pivot element, that is comparing. If it is lesser means it is true, and it's greater means it is a false value. True means incremented the I positions and swap the array of I and j. So I and j means swapping and incremented only by the condition is true. The condition is false means it is not happening. Return the values the same and going to be out of the loop. And value of variables is changed or increased one by one based upon the conditions is true or false. And after that conditions, pivot is going to, after sorted the list, pivot is going to change the first quick sorted the left one. The pivot is going to change the 50 and then check the other 3 and then going to 40 and then going to 30 and then to the 10. So checking the other values, all are in the already sorted and in the smallest positions only. Then going to the right, the pivot is to be going to 80. So 90 is comparing with the 80. 90 is greater one, so it is swap the thing. So finally we get the element of 10, 30, 40, 50, 70, 80 and 90. So this is the sorted list by the quick sort method. From the next one, this is the logic for the pivot. We already tell, no, if I find that pivot element and sorted with the partition method. Partition method is nothing but we going to select a pivot and left side is a smaller and right side is the greater numbers. And after that we changing the pivot and quick sorted the left one. After quick sorted, changing the pivot to the right one and quick sorted the right one, right elements. So this is the partition method, and this is also the logic in the quick sort. We are going to implement it in the program. and this is the quicksort program we are going to implement it. From this quicksort program, this is the partitions of initializing the array elements and low and high. We're going to check the low and high elements passing to quick sorted. In the list we are going to set the elements of 8, 6, 12, 13 and 9 as the elements to be passed here. It is passed in the quick sort position. So in this inch partitions, array of low high is passed in the quick sort, and low is the index of 0 and high is the index of 4. So the total element in the quick sort is 5. So low is a 0 and low is high is 4 is to be passed in this partition. Then the partition function is called. In the partition is here. And going to check the int pivot is equal to array of high. High means it is a fourth index, so this is going to be going to initializes the pivot value. So pivot value is initializes the 9. So then next one is I is equal to low minus 1. Low is a 0, 0 minus 1 is a minus 1. So I is placed here. I is initialized with the minus 1 index position. And then int j. J is to be the first one of 0. First going to start the index of 0, j, and going to the loop, we have the j is equal to low means we already initializes the j is equal to low positions. Then j is less than is equal to high minus 1, j plus plus is the loop is to be worked to if array of j is less than pivot. Yes, the array of j is comparing with the pivot value. Array of j is less than only, so it going to be incremented I. So I is now here. So now I is also 1. This is I and this is j. Now the I is also 1, j is I is also 0, j is also 0. Previous I is a minus 1 index and j is a 0%. Now I is incremented, so I is a 0 and j is also the 0. Then incremented I position, swap the array of j and array of I. I and j is in the same position, so swapping the same positions elements, nothing has happened. It is not uses, but it's swapped both and going to be the loop. Going to the loop, j is an incremented, so j is going to be 6, and again comparing with the 6 to the 9, yes, the j position is lesser only, so we are incrementing the I. So I is now in the 1 and also the j is in the 1, so I is here incremented. After I incremented, swap the value of I and j. Again this is not used, and going to the loop again and incremented the j value 12, and 12 is compared to the 9. 12 is a greater one, so the condition is false, so come out of the loop and going to again incremented the j value. It is now going to be the 13. Comparing the value of 13 and 9, again 13 is a greater value, so after incrementing the j2 and 3, it is I is only in the same position. The condition is false. Then again j is to be incremented 4. The 4 is to be size is getting condition is false, so come out of the loop. No, now come out of the loop means checking this condition, array of I plus 1 and high is to be swapped. High is 9 and array of I plus 1, I is finally placed is 6, I plus 1 is 12, so 12 and 9 is to be swapped here. Once again, okay. Now what is happening means finally we get 8, 6, 8, 6 and 12, 39. So this is here. After the I is placed here, this is the high value. That means pivot is the high. So the pivot, this swapping of I plus 1 and high is to be swap. I plus 1 is 12 and 9. 12 and 9 is to be swap, means array is going to be 8, 6, 9, 12, 9, 13 and 12. This is the elements will be sorted. The condition is okay, it is swapped, then returns I plus 1. I plus 1 means is nothing but value of pivot only. Now the I plus 1 is swapped value is 9. So the return I plus 1 is values always return the pivot value. So again is going to be the loop. Again we check the partitions. What is the low value and high value and what is the pivot element means. Now the pivot is a 9. Low value is to be the we are previously set I is equal to 1 and j is going to be end, the loop is to be out. So we started in the first, this is going to initialize the j value 1. So I is also this is 0 index. So j is going to started with this and I is going to started with one element. That means low position is 1 and high position is 0 and the pivot is 12. So high is 0 means the high is going to start here. Pivot also required to move the sixth one. So because of after finishing the partitions we are going to the quick sort of left. So from this one, after completing the partitions, function is calling to this quick sort left. So going to this one, pivot of high is going to initialize here. So j is here, I is also the 6. So comparing the 8 and 6 values, 8 is the greater one, so the condition is false. So it is coming out of the loop. For the quick sort, again we calling the functions of partition. So for this one the condition is false, so coming out of the loop, I plus 1 and high is to be swap. That means 8 and 6, high and I plus 1 is be swap, and after that the sorted list is 6, 8, 9, 13 and 12. After swapping, it returning the pivot value. I plus 1 is always a pivot value. I plus 1 is means 9, so it returning the pivot value. Then we are going to the same one, quick sort of left is ended, so the next one is quick sort of right. Again we go to the same quick sort functions, we do the same happening here. From this quick sort we're going to check the lowest and highest values. So in the sort, low is to be the -1. We previously we set it in the lowest -1, and pi minus 1 is that is the high value. So pi is to be the 0. Initially the high value is to 0. 0 minus 1 is a -1. So the condition is to be false, it come out of the loop. After that we going to the quick sort of right, and pi plus 1 is the low value and high, this is the high value. Pi plus 1 is -1. So pi is a -1 value, right? So -1 plus 1 is equal to 0. So low is assigned to be the 0 now. Low is 0 and high is to be 1. So we are going to the pass the 0 and 1 to this partition again, and going to this partition's call. After that pi plus 1, so 0 plus 1, so lower value is 1 only. So high is also 1. Again the condition will be false, it returning the statement. After that pi is to be going to increment at the value of 2. It's all from the recursive functions of putting stack is going to be every return, the every returns each elements is to be popped out. So after that pi is to going to be the 1 plus 1 is 2, it given the lower value, and high is also the 1. After that pi is to be the 2, 2 plus 1 is going to be 3. It is all from the recursive functions. It is previously called from this, so again it will go to and find out the 2 and 3 pi values. After the 3, we're going to assign finally low value is 3, it is from the recursive function. High value is 4 because of the list of sorting array 6, 8, 9, 13 and 12. We're going to sort from the quick sort of right only. So left and pivot is all partition is already finished. So going to the quick sort of left means it is initial with the element of fourth position. So we are assigning the high as a 4. Now the pivot value is also 9 only. So getting this one, going to the partitions, we comparing the values of I and j and pivot. This pivot is going to declaring this one 13. J is to be again 12. We assign that it is 12. So comparing the 13 and 12, it is greater value. So the condition is false. We going to be out of the loop and swap the I plus 1s and high values. So 13 and 12 is going to be swapped. Coming the after swapping it to be the listed here. So 6, 8, 9, 12, 13 is the sorted elements in the correct form of array. So this is by the quick sort. We given to sorted the list is easy. Only the recursive functions of putting the each elements, pushing that elements is to be every returns it's going to be popped out again. So that is to be passed the element of high and low in the partitions. About the partitions, the conditions is based on that this one is happens, otherwise it is going to be swap the other values, the returning only the pivot values. So after the find the partitions of pivot and going to sort the left and right, finally we get the output. Like the quick sorting program works, passing array low and high, and the I and j is initializing with the condition is condition is true means incremented the I value and swap the array 1 I and j. If not greater means swap the so returning the array of I plus 1 and the high value. So it returning the pivots only by the array of I plus 1. After the partitions, go and pass the values of the pivot to changes, and based upon the low and high values only it changes the not by the I and j. So completing the left side and completing the right side, the full list of elements is to be the sorted by the quick sorting method. Thank you.